Now, SASSA says South Africans are spending more money on gambling than any other type of entertainment. More than half of household spending on fun activities now goes to betting. Okay, that's compared to just 6% on gym and 1% on sports tickets. This raises questions about the financial pressure gambling may be placing on households, especially as the cost of living rises. For more on this, let's bring in Executive Director at the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation, Sibongile Simelane-Quntana, who joins us now. Sibongile, appreciate the time. It's a dire case. It's a growing, let's call it growing industry, for lack of a better term here. But there's good with the bad, and there's bad with the good here.
Good morning, Arabile, and good morning to your viewers. Look, you are quite right. There's good with the bad, and there's bad with the good. And I think one of the things that I would like us to actually first start with is that from the stats that has been released by Stats SA, one of the key things, key data points that we are missing is who are the people that are actually spending more money. You know, that 50%, if we can disaggregate it so that we can understand whether these are individuals that are able to actually get away and have money that they can gamble without actually impacting on their households and their livelihood. That being said, we know for a fact that the people that are actually affected by gambling and problem gambling, including gambling disorder, those are your lower LSM people, that is your lower standard living measure income earners. And we know that because those are the people that are from the poor backgrounds and their income is actually limited. I think what we are really missing to understand the extent of the impact on household is from that 56 or 54%, which household have been gambling the most. And once we get that clearer, then we can then say we actually, what extent of the problem that we are faced with as a country. That doesn't mean that we don't have a problem. We do have a problem, but we need the data to assist us so that we can better articulate it. I am saying this because if we look at our own data, that is the data of the people that we have treated as the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation, what we have seen from the 4,661 individuals that we have referred, only a fraction, about 35%, are actually unemployed. Now, if you were to ask me the 35% that have come forward and say that they've got a gambling problem, that is a huge number, because those are the individuals that the first question we need to ask ourselves, where is the money coming from? Most of those people are actually SASSA dependent, and some are actually the 350 grant recipients. Wow. So we do have a problem, because if 35% of the people that are having a gambling problem from a total population that we have actually seen, that is an indicative of a country that is actually having a problem. Now, if we further drill down into our own data, the low income earners, that is from the 75%, that is the 65% that is remaining, is actually individuals who are low income earners. Wow. These are individuals that earn less than 5,000 a month, who come forward and say that I am indebted, I can't meet my financial obligations. People are actually unable to pay school fees, are unable to put the basic needs on the table of their families due to gambling addiction.
Wow, it's incredible. I mean, just looking at some of the statistics you continue to point towards, you had, what, 4,166 referrals as well that were made. 2,000 of those were youth. How scary is that figure?
It's very scary. I think one of the most critical things that we need to understand about problem gambling and gambling disorder is that the minute you are addicted, the minute you are hooked, I will use that term so that viewers can actually understand, because there's a difference between problem gambling and gambling disorder. So when you are hooked and are addicted, it means that you are impaired. Your social life, your educational life, your livelihood is affected. You can't focus. You're actually at work. You are stealing time from the employer. You are not competent. You are not productive. So if the youth of our country is the most affected, what does it mean about the future of this country? It means that we have a youth that's going to grow up having difficulties with addiction. And remember, gambling addiction does not happen on its own in most cases. It actually coexists with other comorbid conditions such as depression, such as stress, and some physical illnesses such as high blood pressure. Now, if you have a country of youth that is suffering from mental illnesses and physical diseases going into their adulthood, then we are going to have pressure from our healthcare system.
Yeah.
We already are seeing that our healthcare is unable to actually provide, for the population. And most of the people that are coming forward who've got gambling addiction, they don't have access to medical aid. That is another pressure point.
Sure, and it will hurt and continue to hurt. I noticed as well from your data that it's pretty evenly split when it comes to male and female gambling addiction too, or the amount of gambling that is happening here, but that the growth in female gambling has been quite astronomical over the last year or two.
Remember that, in few years, females were not gambling, but I think how we associated women gambling was that, women are caregivers and they really don't have the time or gamble. But we actually did not understand the extent of the home environment as some of the key drivers that may lead them towards gambling. But also the increase in the types of gambling availability, that is the products. Most women are actually interested in the products that are being put on the market. Most women, they watch soccer. Look at the number of people that are actually at our soccer stadium. It's no longer filled up with most male. It's almost the gender is balanced. Then it shows that more and more women are interested in sports. Now, they have particular teams that they are following. And obviously, we just came from a sporting weekend. You could have seen from the Springbok and New Zealand match that, in as much as, it was a Springbok, there was quite a number of women that were actually watching rugby, including myself, at the stadium and at home. And when you saw the tweets, when you go on social media, you could see the type of following that the Springbok had. Now, let's bet. Let's come in and say that who then is interested in betting? It's no longer about men only. It's about also women not only feeling the financial pressures, but also trying to catch up with their fellow gender males to say that we are here. We also want to understand the thrill of the game. We also are interested. We are actually competent. Remember also when it comes to exposure in terms of technology, women were less attractive to technology. We were actually the always followings, but we see that more and more young female, they actually become techno-savvy. They're exposed to technology. Hence, then you see more and more women becoming more interested in online betting, particularly. It's not only about sports betting. I need to emphasize that it's online betting, bearing in mind that in South Africa, online gambling is actually illegal.
Wow. Wow, wow. And I think that note needs to be made very much a lot clearer, because that understanding, I don't think, is always there. The misconceptions about gambling addiction, what have you seen from some of the people that you've had referred to you or have to refer?
It's that it will never happen to me. People, they believe that because it's a behavioral phenomenon, is that nobody will see. People, they don't understand that unlike alcohol and drugs, when you have a gambling addiction, you actually transit, your behavior start to change. Things that you were interested in the past, you become more and more less attracted to them, or you don't pay attention to them. For instance, you are interested more and more on the dream, on the next betting, on the next spin. When am I going to do this? So the behavior changes, and this is where the loved ones actually need to pay attention to the behavioral changes, to the amount of time that their loved ones spend on either cell phone, on iPad tablets or iPads, or on computer. Because remember, online betting is available online. It's unlike your traditional casino games where you have to frequent the casino. And this is not only about actually older people that are actually gambling. We also need to pay attention to what our kids are playing on our cell phone. Yes, gambling is illegal in South Africa for anyone that is less than 18 years of age. But through our taking risks wisely, we have actually established that minors are actually exposed to gambling. And some of those exposure, it actually start with them playing, your innocent games like your loot boxes, where it actually produces the same type of thrill as gambling. Their adrenaline is actually rushed. And the next thing, when that game that they are playing does no longer give them the satisfaction that it used to, the next thing that they can come towards or fall back towards is actually gambling. So we've got a taking risk wisely minor intervention where we are treating young people. Arabile, I actually would like to reach out to parents at this point in time and say and urge parents, please be on the lookout of what your kids are doing on those phones. Please, because we are breeding a generation of people that will become addicted not only to gaming but also to gambling as they grow in life.
So important. A really, really significant message as the growth of gambling, online or otherwise, continues to reach new levels. Sibongile, Simelane-Quntana, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.